What's going on, everyone? It's me, Kieran, back with another episode of Me Go to Marathon. I know it's been a month, but hear me out. I've been injured. I had a knee injury, and I'm going to talk more about that in this video. That's why the topic of today is injuries. I want to talk about prevention and recovery so that you guys know on your marathon training journey how to avoid injuries and how to not get injured so you're not holding off for a month of training like I have been. But without further ado, let's start talking about injuries. So first up, let me address how shiny my forehead looks in this camera right now. I just watched the take of the intro back and it's insane. It's so warm here in London. I know we've been having like a heat wave, but this is insane. It's like nearly 10 PM at night and I'm boiling. But anyway, so like I said, I've been gone for like a month now, and that's because I got an injury to my knee. I can't show you anything about it because I'm sitting down, but basically what I got was called... What I had is called patellofemoral tendinopathy, I think, which is basically inflammation of the tendon that runs down the front of your knee, and it's been causing me problems for ages now, and I never really got it sorted out. I went to talk to my private medical insurance finally, as soon as it was about to run out, and they told me I had this, tendinopathy. So I can't run at the moment. I've got to do these exercises, got to do all sorts of jumping and bouncing around and squatting on my knee to make sure it's strengthening it up, because that's the main thing with this kind of injury. You have to keep strengthening it. Even though your first instinct is to do nothing and rest up and do nothing with it, you have to strengthen it apparently, because that's how you build up the tendon again and stop it from having the same issue a few weeks later down the line. For me, this is like an old injury from months ago that I never really addressed at the time, and I'm sorely regretting it now. So my big advice to you is, if you do get an injury, get it addressed if you can, do a bit of research, don't necessarily self-diagnose, but don't immediately, unless you're in absolute agony, which I'm not, don't hold off on all activities together. Just do some sort of light exercise, a little bit of stretching and icing, that sort of thing, to make sure you're getting back to full strength as soon as possible. So like I said, basically what they advised me to do at the physio was a lot of exercises and icing it, just to make sure that it's getting back and recovering at the fastest pace possible. I should be back to running next weekend, which is like the 7th, 8th of July, which is going to be awesome. I'm super, super excited to get back involved. I can't wait to be running again, filming it all. I'm going to do a different style of videos, like you can see with this one. It's more chatty instead of more montagey run stuff. Let me know what you think about that in the comments, but essentially I'm just trying to mix it up to give you guys a bit of a different flavour this time. So like I said, feedback is always welcome. So let's talk about the injury prevention part of the video. Disclaimer, I am not a medical professional, I'm just a student running their first marathon, but these are some of the tips I've picked up along the way, and I'd like to give you my 3 biggest learnings, partly from doing research online and partly from an awesome marathon training session that I went to with Choose a Challenge, the guys who are organising all this marathon stuff for my university. Now, tip number 1 is stretching and warm-up. Now this might seem obvious to a lot of you out there, but to some people it's not as big of a thing as it should be. Stretching and warm-up is obviously what prepares your muscles for actually running and prepares your body for the impact and the strain it's about to be put under, and make sure you don't do any long-lasting damage. We were advised to do maybe like a 10-minute warm-up, not too long, not too short. You want to get a nice middle ground, make sure you work every single muscle, but obviously if you're running, especially your legs. That's super key when you're a runner, to actually work your legs in the warm-up and make sure you're preparing your body, like I said, to take that impact, take that strain, and actually go on potentially a long run, short run, whatever. You still need to do a warm-up. Now, if you don't know what constitutes a good warm-up, a good piece of advice I can give you from my personal experience is to just hop onto YouTube. That's where I assume you're watching this video, so you know what it is. You can just type in running warm-up, maybe a little bit more about what kind of run you want to do, and you'll find tons of videos about people doing their individual warm-ups that they find work for them, and you can experiment, you can figure things out. Most warm-ups are going to be good warm-ups no matter what, so it's about finding the right one for you and figuring it out as you go. If you'd like me to do an in-depth video later down the line on what kind of warm-up I do once I've figured it out properly, let me know in the comments and I will be sure to add that to my list of to-dos for this series. Tip number 2 is don't do too much too soon. Now, this is a really easy one to mess up, so that's why I thought I'd include it, because a lot of people have problems with this and it leads to some of the most common injuries like runner's knee and shin splints. Now, what I mean by this is, you might feel confident in the beginning that you can run loads and loads of distance. If you're quite athletic, you might feel like your body's up to it. But the reality is, running is actually not that great for your body, especially your joints like your knees. And if you put too much pressure on them, there's more chance of you getting injured. your body needs a lot of time to build up to the level of running that a marathon is. So you need to work up to it super slowly. Even though you feel like you might be able to run super far in the beginning, you should still pace yourself, follow a structured plan perhaps, and just stick to it. You know, it might feel like you can push yourself more, but you really have to be super careful about what you do, because your body is, you know, it's yours and you only get one. So you need to make sure it stays intact. Again, with this, there's loads of information online. You can Google it, you can research it everywhere. There's apps like the Virgin Marathon app and the ASICS app that will help you put together a marathon training plan depending on how much time you've got and what kind of time and goals you want to achieve. So if you want to check out those, I've heard those are some good ones, but I'm sure there's plenty more out there. It's super important to have a plan and not push yourself too hard, like I keep reiterating, because you've got to look after your body, and your body is what's going to get you through this marathon. And if you get injured too close to the day of the marathon, you're gonna not be able to run it, and that's gonna be terrible. So make sure you pace yourself and look after your body. Tip number 3 is cool down and foam rolling. Now this is something I heard reiterated a lot at the marathon training day I mentioned by both the physio and the girl who's run quite a lot of marathons, that foam rolling is super important. It helps you stretch out afterwards, it helps you cool down your muscles, and it helps you prevent those injuries from coming on that otherwise, if you didn't, might well do. When I go back to running next week, I'm going to actually get myself a foam roller and test it out for myself. I can remember what it was like after runs before I started using one. So I'm going to compare in a later video how I feel about foam rollers, but I suspect it's going to be positive because the evidence is out there. There's a lot of positive feeling about cooling down and foam rolling. It's super important. It should be just as important as your warm-up, because you need to give your muscles the care and attention they deserve after they've just worked super hard for you, dragging you through the streets or through the parks or wherever you like to do your runs. So big piece of advice is get a foam roller. Like I said, I'm going to do another video giving my personal opinion on it, but I suspect it's going to be super positive, just like everybody else's. So those are my 3 tips for injury prevention, and I talked a little bit about my injury too in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of the new style, this more vloggy format, less running, more talking. Like I said, I'm going to blend the running back in once I go back to it. There's a couple more videos to come that are going to be definitely in this style because they lend themselves to it better. Leave me any feedback you've got about this in the comments, and if you've got any injury prevention tips or recovery tips, let me know down in the comments, because I think I'm going to need them, because I'm injury prone. That's just me. In any sport I play, I tend to get battered about a bit. So I think I'm going to need the help from you guys. So if there's, like I said, if there's anything you think would be useful to me and anybody else, you know, out there watching this video, let me know down in the comments. But apart from that, that's it from me. Thank you for watching this episode of Mediocre Marathon. I'm going to get back into the videos this time. I actually mean it. You can trust me on that. But like I said, that's all from me, and I will see you in the next episode. See you later, guys.